Guys, my name is Brittany Ferguson. I am a yoga and functional movement teacher from Texas, now teaching at 0 Point. And today I have a 30-minute postural reset for you. So we'll start with balance. My left leg is parallel and my right foot comes on top of the left. The standing leg, so the left leg is super duper straight, and I'll see if I can catch the elbows behind me. Shoulders reach down away from the ears, nice long neck, and fixate your eyes on a point across the room. Now begin taking some long, voluminous inhales. So in this style, we like to say that we are inhale-centric. So we don't care what it sounds like, what it looks like, but what we want is for you to take the largest inhales possible. So we'll start here. See if you can take an inhale that lasts 6 seconds long. And when you get to the top of your inhale, and if you think you can't take in any more inhales, see if you can suck in a little bit more. Or just hold your throat open in that position for a few more seconds. So we'll exhale out together, and then inhale for 6. And then you can let it out like a sigh. If this is going well for you, you can go ahead and catch that knee. If you find yourself falling off balance, you are more than welcome to put a fingertip on the wall. Just that extra data can really help improve your balance. But if you're able, see if you can grab that knee. Notice that there's no place to get to. Balance is a constant shifting of weight, of your center of gravity over your footprint. And so we really want to get our ankles strong and our brain connected to the muscles in our foot. This will help as we age and as we move around to prevent any accidents. By now, that left ankle should be cooking, so we'll go ahead and give that a break. If you have blocks at home, which I highly recommend, we're going to take one block and we're going to stretch out the leg that we just balanced on. So our left heel is going to be firmly into the mat. We're going to take our arch over the block, and again, you can use a wall for assist. The left leg is going to be super duper straight, and we're going to work to shift our hips over the block. So you feel a nice stretch in the back of your calf. Take some deep inhales, feel the sensation in your calves. Maybe it's been a while since you felt this sort of stretch in your calf. Step back on that right foot, left toenails come down. So now we're here for a top of foot stretch. You can use the wall to anchor if you need. While you're here, you want to make sure most of the weight is in the big toe side of your foot. If the weight falls to the pinky toe, it can actually get you better at spraining an ankle, which we do not want. So most of the weight is on the big toe side. Feel a nice stretch in the top of the foot, all the way across the ankle, up the leg. Now shake that out. We'll move that block out of the way, and then we'll repeat with balance on the right side. So right leg is parallel with the edge of the mat. Left foot comes on top. Arms reach behind the lower back. The reason why we do that is so you have a nice natural curve in the spine, so you're not able to slouch in this position. So fixate your eyes on a point across the room. Weight of your hips shift back into the heels. Maybe your toes lift a little. Shoulders relax down away from the ears. Nice long neck. And then focus on those inhales again. If that's going well, you can go ahead and catch that left knee. If your standing leg has become bent, I invite you to straighten it. I know it's much harder this way, but this is where the work happens. And if you find that you can't catch this knee without bending your leg, feel free to place that foot on top. And feel the twitchiness in your ankle, feel the work in your leg. By now it should be traveling up from the ankle to the calves, into the thighs and the glutes. You can roll out that ankle, that hanging ankle. Last deep inhale here. Let's make it last for 6 seconds. So exhale out everything and inhale together. Good. Take this block again. This time the right heel is going to be placed firmly on the mat. The arch of the right foot is on the edge of the block. We will slowly shift our hips forward. Notice if this ankle feels more this ankle or calf feels more sensational. Step back onto that left leg. The right toenails come down for a top of foot stretch on the right. Weight is on the big toe side of that foot. See if you can get a nice stretch from the foot all the way up into the shins. Good. I'll shake that out. Now we're going to do a shoulder stretch because chances are if you've been at home, you're sitting at your kitchen table or your office desk and you're slouched. And so your shoulders are by your ears, they're internally rotated, and you have this nice ugly spinal flexion. So in this class, we're gonna combat all of that. So we'll start with the shoulder stretch. We're gonna take the palm face up at shoulder height, and then you're gonna reach the fingers back behind you. We're going to take our left arm, place it behind our back, and with the elbow on the right, super duper straight, we're going to slowly walk our feet towards the center of the room. And so you at home will be doing this on a wall. I will pivot to the side so you can see what that looks like. So your fingertips are facing behind you, your elbow is straight, and there's a nice openness in this shoulder. You want to try to roll the shoulder blade down your back, so creating space between your ear and the shoulder. And then take some slow, deep inhales. If you're not used to doing this and you are used to spending 40, 50 hours a week hunched over a computer, this will feel very sensational. So be sweet to yourself and play with that line of discomfort, because your shoulder should not feel like this. And so in this style that I teach, we are actively trying to push the limits, gently trying to push the limits so you can have a healthy body again. We are trying to undo all of the mistreatment that we do to our body on a daily basis. Now here, all I want you to do is press your fingertips into the wall. Notice how that changes the sensation, how it maybe causes the sensation to go deeper into your arms. And now I want you to imagine that I have a piece of paper and I'm trying to slide the piece of paper underneath your fingertips. So we're flexing the fingertips away from the wall, trying to create even a millimeter of space between your fingertips and the wall. Step away from the wall, shake out the hands. You can close your eyes here, let your arms swing heavy, and see if you notice a difference in the arms. If you can feel an openness in the shoulder, if one arm suddenly feels more alive. Take a look at your palms. You may notice a color difference between the left and the right. And now we'll repeat on the left side. So your palm comes up to shoulder height, your fingers twist back behind you, so we're externally rotating the left arm. Right arm catches behind the back. And as you're ready, with that left arm straight, you're going to slowly spin to the center of the room. So spin away from the wall. And then take some long, voluminous inhales and feel all of the sensations in your arm. You can close your eyes if that feels comfortable to you. But we want to get really present to everything that's going on within our body. Sometimes in the world today, there's so many distractions and so many things that we do to try to cover up what's happening in our body, but especially now when we have everything going on, we really need to take a moment to appreciate our strong body and really show it some love. Now you're going to press your fingertips into the wall. Feel how that changes the stretch, deepens the stretch. And then imagine that I had that piece of paper that I'm trying to slide under your fingertips. So you're gonna flex your fingertips off of the wall. Notice how that changes the stretch. Your eyebrows may lift, and that's totally normal. Come away from the wall, shake out the hands. Another one of my favorite postural resets is what we call bad waiter. So your hands are gonna come flat like you're carrying a dish. You're gonna pivot at the elbows. Then you're gonna reach your elbow tips forward. And then you wanna imagine you have a bowl of soup in each hand and you're pouring it out the back way. So you're trying to get your thumb down and your pinky up towards the ceiling. You can back up to a wall if you have one. Hips relax on the wall. And then see how far you can get all 5 fingers onto the wall. So you may be out here and that's totally normal. This is taking years, but this is what having pain-free shoulders feels like. And so this is something you can do every day, a few times a day even, especially if you find yourself sitting at a computer. So I invite you to share bad waiter with you, your family, and maybe even your colleagues when you get back to the office. But here your shoulders are down away from the ears. You have a nice lengthening across the front of the shoulders, active arms, active hands, and you're supinating the forearms. So this is essentially the anti-slouch. And you've got a nice little back bend. So if that's your first time doing that, that will feel very, very sensational. But I promise it gets better. Good. So now we're going to come into back traction. We're going to take the heel of the palms into the hip creases, try to straighten our arms, and imagine like you're sitting back into a chair. So your hips lean back, your belly button reaches towards the ground. And right here we're using the arms, the length of the arms to decompress the spine. We have a 6-kilogram skull and it is constantly compressing our spine. And so in this position, we are using the arms to separate each one of those vertebrae. Next, we're going to come down to our elbows. Elbows just above the knees. Our hips are going to be higher than the head. You can have a slight bend in the knees. And now we're going to let our head, this 6-kilo skull, decompress the spine by pulling it away. So we're letting gravity decompress the spine. You can relax the head and neck here. Tick-tock from left to right. Take some slow, voluminous inhales. And then we're going to step into down dog. So down dog, you can pedal out the legs. We won't be here for too long. I like to teach down dog with your hands a little bit wider and turned out. Your shoulders wrap down away from the ears. Your head never drops below your upper arm bones. So you're fighting for that curve in the spine. Let's warm up the shoulders a little bit. So we're going to shift into high plank and then back into down dog. And we'll repeat that 10 times. If this is too much for you in down dog, you can drop your knees. Shifting forward and back. Drop your knees together. We're going to do a few knuckle push-ups, we call them. And essentially, if you spend all day typing around at a computer, the muscles in our hands can get very weak. So we like to show our hands some love since they do so much for us. So our fingers are going to press into the mat, and we're going to pivot, shift our body weight over to the left and lift up the right palm. But the fingers stay planted firmly into the mat. And when we do this, we want our elbows to remain perfectly straight. So even if your wrist or your palm only comes up a centimeter, that's okay. Good. Sit back into toe torture. Peel any little baby toes that may be curled under. If there's any pain in the knee, you can sit on a block or come to kneeling. Now we're going to stretch out the work we just did in our hands. So our fingertips are going to come towards our knees, palms flat on the floor, shoulders down away from the ear, and slowly sit back onto the heels, getting a nice forearm stretch. Tick tock your neck here. Lean it over to the left. Relax your jaw. Shake your head yes and no. Notice if you can feel the lower jaw pulling away from the upper jaw. Tilt to the right. Relax the lower jaw. Sit up out of that. Shake the hands out. And we will come into what we call reading pose. So reading pose, if you experience any back pain caused by long hours of sitting at a desk, reading pose is a really simple, active, low impact way to strengthen your back. And so your elbows are right underneath your shoulders, your forearms are parallel, active hands pressing into the mat. And just take a couple of deep breaths here. No need to tense up. Just see if you can really settle here. Notice if you have any tension in your belly, if it's hard for you to relax the abdominal muscles. Notice where you're feeling sensations. Is it the back, shoulders, the belly, the abdominals? Can you even feel the muscles in your back working? And so to test that, we're going to press our hands firmly into the mat, lift up our elbows 1 inch, and try to launch ourselves forward. So you're pulling your upper body through the arms. Woo! Now you can feel them. If you're able, maybe take one hand, dig around, feel the valley of muscles that run up and down your spine. Another one of my favorites for posture is favorite twist from sitting. So from reading pose, we're gonna roll onto our right side. Our bottom leg is gonna come forward parallel with the short edge of the mat. Our left knee is going to go into the arch of the right foot, and we're gonna spin on down to reading pose. While you're here, you wanna really try to not dump into the shoulders. Want to try to create a lot of length between the shoulders and the neck. If you're not used to bearing this much weight on the shoulders, that may be the place you feel it the most. And so just be sweet to yourself. If you need to come out, give your shoulders a break, please do. And now from this position, I invite you to take a long, slow, deep inhale. And you may notice that your inhales here are much more difficult. And that's because we're in a spinal twist and spinal extension. So our inhalation muscles are already taut, and our diaphragm is not able to move freely. And so here is where we really want to get good at breathing. So together we're going to take 2 long, slow, deep inhales together. And same thing as we did before. When you get to the top of your inhale and you don't think you can suck in anymore, I invite you to attempt to just get even a molecule more of air. And if not, just hold that breath in and then release it out like a sigh when you're done. So exhale out together. Inhale. And at the top of your inhale, you should be shaking from the effort. Last one on this side. Now we're going to take our palms where our elbows used to be, press up. We're going to look over that right shoulder, see if you can see your toes behind you. Feel that nice stretch in the left side waist, the front of the spine, or the front of the body. Good. And we'll tick-tock forward. Shake the hips out. And then we'll repeat on the other side. So this time, your left leg is on the ground. Your left leg is parallel with the front edge of the mat. And then you spin forward. Shoulders down away from the ears. And then relax. Notice if you're carrying any tension in your lower body, in your hands, in your jaw. See if you can let all that go. Just take a couple inhales on your own. And then we'll do these last 2 together. So everyone exhale out, and then inhale for 6. Take your palms where your elbows used to be. Press up to straight arms. Look over that left shoulder at your back foot. Feel the stretch in the front of the waist. Now for these last couple variations, if you have a clear spot on your wall, I invite you to mosey on over there. So our hips are going to be about a shin's distance. So you can measure by extending your legs straight towards the wall and then placing your hips where your knees are. If you've got a block, a yoga block or a book, feel free to place those underneath your back hips, the hip behind your back. And then we're slowly going to lay over the block. And then lift the legs onto the wall. If this is a little too much, you may need to scoot yourself away from the wall. But here, we are trying to put ourselves in a mini back bend. And we're also, with our legs at the wall, we're allowing the blood to recirculate. So if you sit in the desk all day, and you experience pain in the feet or in the knees and the legs, this is a really nice way to slow the body down, relax, as well as get the blood to recirculate. You can let the arms come out to the side. And just relax heavy over the block. If you don't have a block at home, you can roll up a towel or a blanket. Just something underneath your lower back to create a little arch in that spine. Your hips are planted firmly and your head is planted firmly as well. If this is too deep of a back bend and your head is lifted, please put a small pillow or a blanket to support your head. Whenever you're ready to remove yourself off the block, you'll place your feet firmly on the ground and press your hips up. You can remove the block from underneath, and then I invite you to set your hips down and your feet back up the wall. And notice, even though we no longer have the block underneath our lower back, see if you can feel the sensation of the block pushing up into your lower back. Notice that there's a little bit more space. You're going to bring the knees to center. Hands can stay out to your side, and we're just going to tick-tock the knees from left and right. Now wherever you are, you can take a little spin or push yourself away from the wall. Find a comfortable position lying flat. Give yourself plenty of space to sprawl out. And see if you can relax your body fully. Feel the weight of the floor below you pushing up into your body and your weight pushing down on the floor. Notice if you're carrying any tension in your ankles and your hands. If you can let all that go. Feel your ribs expand and contract with every inhale and every exhale. Start to bring micro movements into your fingers, your toes, wrists, and ankles. Scan the body and feel the work that we did today. Roll over to one side and slowly lift yourself up to kneeling. Take off the head if you get a little dizzy. And then make your way up to standing. Thank you guys for practicing with me today.